Hello, 5th grade. We're on Domain 8, Native Americans, Lesson 5, Pacific Northwest, Climate Influences Native American Tribes. Our objectives are to examine how the author uses text to make a particular point about Native American life before and after the arrival of explorers, miners, missionaries, and settlers, and we're going to choose our image for our persuasive essay. Some key vocabulary. Loincloth is a piece of cloth worn around the hips as clothing by men in certain cultures, usually in warm climates. A quiver is a bag or case used to carry arrows. Nimble is able to move quickly and gracefully. Immunity is the body's ability to resist or fight off a disease. We're going to again reread the chapter from last time, and you are going to independently read it this time. Our word work for today is nimble. Dugout canoes were tough enough for the ocean, but also nimble enough to survive the wild mountain rivers. Nimble means able to move quickly and gracefully, and it is an adjective. We're now going to choose our essay topic image. So we're going to give you a few pictures to choose from, and you're going to figure out which one you'd like to use. So each of the following images is going to show a relationship between Native Americans and the land. So these are the three images that we are going to be using for our essay. So you're going to choose one of these images to focus on for your persuasive essay, and it should be the best one to show the relationship between Native Americans and the land. So look at each image carefully as we read the description on the next slides. The Wyote World Renewal Ceremony. This image shows the Wyote people dancing in the World Renewal Ceremony in Tuluwat. Tuluwat is located on an island off of California's coast and is the center of the Wyote world. Historically, tribe members made masks out of wood depicting animals of the region. They danced and held ceremonies on the same ground for hundreds of years. As a result, each year when they returned for the World Renewal Ceremony, they danced on the broken shells of a shellfish they had eaten in years past. The dancers wore skirts made of grass and necklaces of shells from the ocean and beads made from pine nuts and other seeds. The World Renewal Ceremony still happens there today. Chumash men in Tamal. This image shows Chumash men paddling in a Tamal. The Chumash lived and still live on the southern coast of present-day California and have a very special relationship with the sea. To travel by ocean and river, the Chumash built large canoes called tamals. They built them out of the trunks of redwood trees that floated down the coast from northern California. To glue the planks of wood together, they made a sticky substance called yap from tar taken from beaches and pine sap taken from local pine trees. Craftsmen used shark skin to sand the tamals and make them smooth. Because the tamals were large, many men had to paddle them. The tamals were large enough to carry food and supplies to be traded with neighboring tribes. The Pomo woman outside her tool. This woman shows a Pomo woman sitting outside her tool cooking. The Pomo lived in present-day southern and central California in marshy locations. A marsh can be seen in the background. The Pomo built homes called tools from the tool reeds and other materials found in the marsh. They also used tool reeds to weave baskets like the one next to the tool behind her. They used these baskets to store food such as acorns. The woman in the image is using hot stones to cook acorn soup made from ground acorn meal and water. While women gathered acorns and berries, men went out to fish and hunt for small game, such as rabbits and squirrels. So, we're going to model what you are expected to do with these images. So first, we're going to read the description, which we just did. After reading this description, I'm going to go back to the reader, remember it's called The Changing Landscape, and find any information that's going to support it that's based on that image. Now, because this image refers to the Native Americans in the Great Plains, I'm going to go to the table of contents and notice that the Great Plains is spoken about in Chapter 2. I'm going to scan the chapter to find anything else that might help my argument. So because it refers, so I'm looking at Chapter 2. I'm also scanning the text for any keywords about the Great Plains, land, the buffalo, anything in order to support my support my argument with evidence about Native Americans and the Great Plains. So I'm going to reread this chapter to help me with that. This is what your graphic organizer will be similar to that you're going to create. Remember, one of the key components of our rubrics was paraphrasing. Remember, we're not taking words exactly from the text, we're writing them in our own words. So for example, on page 13, the text said, none of those tribes claimed to own any of the land they lived on, not in the sense that that was theirs to sell or buy. Each tribe did have an area they called home, and the people worked together and shared the fruits of the land. That is a direct quote from the text. However, I cannot write that in my paper because that is plagiarism. So what I can do is paraphrase it. What did this mean? This meant Great Plains tribes worked together to share the land. That's what the whole point of this was. This is my paraphrase text. You're going to be doing just like this for yourself. You're going to pick a picture that you identified most with for your argument. 2, you're going to go back and reread any of the chapters we've previously read, which obviously you can go back in any videos and read them again. Then you're going to complete a organizer similar to this, where you're going to identify text from the reader that you want to use in it, and you're going to paraphrase it as well. It's also important to identify what page it's on, so if you have to go back to it, you can find it. So now it's your turn. You're going to do something exactly as I just did it. So remember, you're going to paraphrase information in the text, give relevant information. So make sure you describe what the image name was before you do this. So if you go back, they have titles to them. So we'll be able to know exactly which picture you're referring to. Okay? And that is going to be your assessment for today. And we will see everyone in our next lesson.